Okay, so this is take 2 of episode 2 of the Unnamed Podcast with me, Brandon. I still haven't given it a name. I don't usually re-record things because I don't care enough to do it. But the first one, I went off on way too many tangents and rants, and I got like 15 minutes in and I still hadn't got to the point. So I just stopped recording and started over. I want to talk about instant gratification versus delayed gratification and playing the long game, because I think that more people need to play the long game in this. More people who are opposed to what's going on in the world, what the governments of the world are doing, obviously Canada and the United States. I'm speaking to you guys who are opposing the government overreach, the restrictions, the lockdowns, the freedoms they're taking from us. That's what I'm talking to you guys. And those of you who are actively in the fight, and those of you who are like stressed out and you know, you got like a time frame on this. You know, we got to get this fixed before summer of 2022. And right now it's April 19th, 2022, the day I'm recording this. By going into the fall of 2022, we can't let them do this again. Okay, just to start this off, this has been in the works for, we're going to call it 100 years. Okay, we're going to call it 100 years. They've been planning on doing some form of what they're doing right now. It's 100 years an even number. Okay, I'm not arguing if it's longer or shorter. I'm just using that number. Hopefully you get that. We can't fix this in a weekend, guys. If they've been planning this and strategically putting things into place in a weekend, in 100 years, how are you going to fix it in a weekend? How are you going to fix it in a month? How are you going to fix it in a year? You're not. We're not going to overturn. So just chill. Play the long game. Don't burn yourself out. If you're a man, don't lose your wife over this. Don't lose your kids. Don't lose your family. And if you're a woman, don't lose your husband. Don't lose your kids. Don't burn the relationships that really matter, because you're all in on this thing. And you're fighting tooth and nail. And it's consumed you. So if you're listening to this, pause this for a second. Give yourself at least 30 seconds or a minute and ask yourself, is this consuming you? And I understand that you're fighting for your husband, wife, kids, other people. I get that. I understand that that's where your fight is, and that's why you're pushing so hard. I get that. Trust me. I get that. Married, kid. That's why I do what I do. Pause it and think about it for a second. Okay. Now, understand that you still have to be actively involved, but it cannot be your priority. It cannot be your topic of conversation 80-90% of the time with your spouse, with your kids. It's great to do whatever the hell you want. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I mean, if you want it to be it. But I want you to understand you're going to become a statistic most likely. Very few of you will make it out of this, because this isn't going away tomorrow. I don't know if you noticed this, but they just kept doing what they want to do, right? They kind of give in a little bit here and there to satisfy us, but they're going to kind of do what they want to do. And so understand that you have to be patient. You have to play the long game. They're counting on you to not be able to do that, because they've bred us that way. We're in a society of instant gratification, more so now than ever. More so now than we ever have been in the history of this world. They've been working on that part of it for probably since the end of World War II, when people came back and they were able to get soldiers were able to get. I'm not sure if this is true for Canada, but I know it is for the U.S. It is for Canada as well. I'm actually pretty sure it is. You know, soldiers were able to get home loans with no interest, or very, very low interest, to buy houses, to get things going, starting a family, home ownership, which was the start of the housing bubble. Home ownership became very common at that point. Financing vehicles, credit card debt, all those things started to come in there. And they used credit and debt to really develop the instant gratification. They've taught people live outside your means, buy whatever you want, pay for it later, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go down that path. I could talk about that for an hour easily. But that's how they started us down this path. Now you got to remember, we're essentially 3, 4, 5 generations in some aspects away from that. And so that has taken its effect. That has, started to corrupt the first generation, then the second generation, then the third, for sure the fourth generation of that's all they know. The fourth and fifth generations from that first generation, because that first generation, most of them are either dead or they're getting to the point where they're, too old. They're not even thinking about that stuff. They're not necessarily focused on that stuff. And the fourth and fifth generation are so removed from that it's just normal. And so they've developed us in this way to believe in instant gratification and not play the long game. Nobody's capable of being patient. And now let me tell you guys, I'm not speaking from some position of hierarchy or high horse. I'm not judging people. I was the king of instant gratification at one point. And those that know me, who have known me for a long time, know that. They know that was who I was. I used to love debt. I thought it was awesome. I know, stupid. And now I live another way. And so I've lived on both sides of it. So I'm only speaking from my experience. So this is a long delayed out thing. They've dragged this out for a long time. They've set us up for a long time. You're not finishing this weekend at a rally. You're not finishing it this summer at a rally. You're not going to end this at some giant freedom convoy. Even though it would have been great. And it was just, I'm not saying these things were bad or that they're insignificant. They're not. They're very significant. What happened in Ottawa is historical. It's a historical event in Canadian history. You can't take that away. I wish I were there. I wasn't. I couldn't get there. I was just in the middle of an ocean on a giant island. So I watched from afar, and I brought as much attention to it as I possibly could, which is why a lot of you, if you come from my Instagram, found me. And I'm sorry if you're watching this. The camera seems to keep refocusing right now. I'm not going to fix that. Not at this point. It just is what it is. Sorry. So these things that we're doing are great, and they bring attention, and they kind of wake people up, and they do all these things. But go to these things with the idea that you're doing the right thing. You're standing up for what you believe in. You're fighting back in some way against this evil that's going on. But leave there understanding that you probably aren't making significant change, which comes to the compound effect. Another great book written by Darren Hardy, who's the publisher of Success Magazine. Anytime, just for the record, so I don't get attacked by self-righteous lunatics who know way too much about everybody else in the world, anytime I speak about a person or a book they wrote, I'm not giving a character reference, and I'm not vouching for that individual as being... That person could be the most evil piece of scumbag dirt on the planet. That doesn't mean that they didn't have a great quote at one point, or that doesn't mean that they didn't write a great book. Bad people can do good, impactful things. So just a little preface on there if you think that I'm supporting someone who's a scumbag, because I don't have time to investigate every person in the world because I got better things to do. So the book, The Compound Effects by Darren Hardy, talks about the little things you do daily, which is what makes people successful. Being successful in your personal life, professional life, athletic life, business life, whatever, comes down to those little compounding effects, the little things you do every single day. And that's the same thing in this fight for good and evil, for our freedoms, for our rights, is we need to do little things every single day, whatever your little thing is. not wear the masks, even though there's no restrictions other than in Quebec right now. If those come back, whatever, just the little things, just don't follow rules that don't make sense. I'm all for law and order. Anyone who's followed me long enough knows that I'm a supporter of law and order. But if a rule doesn't make sense, which is not a law, let's not get confused between what a law is and what a rule / mandate is. Challenge it. Be willing to stand against it daily. And you do these little daily things, and then you go to maybe a freedom rally or whatever you want to call it. You don't have to go to every single one. You go to these little things, and people see this conviction in you, and it grows in you, and you inspire other people, and other people start to do little things. And it's like you look back over the last 2 years in this. When I was speaking out this time in 2020, holy moly, mother of God, I got attacked everywhere. And I did speak out right from the get-go. Got evidence to support it. I got people in my life that'll vouch for it right from the very second. I never bought it for a second. That doesn't make me better than anybody that did. It doesn't make me better if you just kind of started waking up to this 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. It doesn't make me better. I'm just telling you my story in that sense. But it's that conviction. So you think back how many people were speaking out 2 years ago at this point, April of 2020. Not very many. And then April 2021, still not very many. A lot of people started to, the online freedom fighter, whatever you want to call it, truther movement really started to take shape. I started getting traction online around early 2021. And other people started to as well. More and more people started waking up. They wanted to hear content. They wanted to hear people's opinions. Now, fast forward to April 2022, which it is right now. And so many people are on board. The Freedom Convoy had a lot to do with that, no doubt. So many people are on board. So that's 2 years. It's 2 years of fighting back against something that they've been planning in some way, shape, or form for 100 years. Give or take. And where are we? We still have ridiculous restrictions in Canada. We still have certain restrictions all over the world in most cases because 2 years isn't enough. And that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be more things that come back. Maybe look what's going on in Ontario right now. There's this battle about should we mask, shouldn't we mask, should we re-implement mandates? If they do re-implement these mandates, and any one of you who aren't wearing the mask right now in Ontario, put that thing back on for 1 split second. Outside of my opinion here, this is all just my opinion, so it's not like if you live and die on my word, you need help. So don't get upset. Outside of maybe like you have to have your job and you have to wear it. Okay, whatever. I'm just talking about the everyday compliance, going to the grocery store, going to the mall, blah, 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 going into a restaurant. If you play ball in that, you're doing it solely out of following government rule. Just, they're wrong because you're not wearing it now. And you'll do it just to keep the peace or just because you're afraid of confrontation. Please don't be that person. If things go back. Because if nobody does it, they'd be like, oh, okay, well, I guess we can't do this again. They'll realize they met their threshold. Anyway, I'm not going to get sidetracked on that. We have to fight back for years at a time. So going back to what I was talking about, don't lose the things that are most important. Understand that you still have to be a husband or wife or father or mother or uncle or whatever the heck you're talking about. You still need to be that person. You still need to have fun. You can't let this consume your life because this battle, unfortunately, not just about COVID, not just about vaccines, there's more stuff coming. And I've been saying that for a long time and many others have. It's not like an original thought. Many others have also been saying that. There's more plans. You guys are starting to see that. There's some form of universal basic income. There's some form of microchip. There's some form of I forgot the other thing I was going to say. There's some form of all this sort of control that they're trying to bring into place. It's coming. This fight, if you choose to continue, there's a good chance it's going to be a majority of our lifetime. Sorry, like it just is. This is a long game. It's going to be at least 5 to 10 years. So take a deep breath, chill out, buckle in that seatbelt, and get ready to go. Because so many of you are getting so worked up, and you think we're this close. And for those of you that are not watching but listening, you think we're like a centimeter away from the finish line. If we could just push these people, or we could just get this, we'd win, it'd be over. Nope. Sorry. This is a battle. This is long term. So understand that, and I don't think I'm wrong in any way. I don't believe this is just my opinion in this situation. I wholeheartedly believe that I'm right about this. And I'm not saying I'm right, like I thought of this. There are thousands of people like me that are outspoken that also agree with this. Okay, this is a general thought pattern. Not I didn't create this, I didn't invent it. This is not the me show. So understand that this is going to have to play itself out. So you got to ask yourself, how do you want to burn yourself out? Do you want to screw everything else up in your life? Do you want to like, I don't know, if you still work a job, lose 1,900 jobs over this? Probably. I mean, I'd lose jobs over this. I think this is more important than a job. But I wouldn't lose my family over it. I think you have to check your vertical alignment. How are you aligned? Like, what are your priorities? Right? And country and freedom of country should be a very high priority. But it shouldn't come at the price of some things. I guess everybody has their choice of what they align with. So you can decide for yourself what your alignment is and what's important. But I would just recommend to everybody, the whole point of this episode is to remind you that this is a long game. Don't lose it. Just chill. Just understand it's a grind. Just go, it's a grind. It's like building anything. And that's why I want to bring to so many of your guys' attention that there are some people I consider, I've met amazing people over the last 2 years. I've met incredible people. And what I'm about to say doesn't speak to someone's character, doesn't speak to their worthiness. It doesn't speak to my opinion about them as a human being. Because I'm about to say something that I would go out of my way for some people that are in this category to help them. To this day, absolutely. So I'm not taking shots. If you feel like I'm calling you out on this, I'm not. This is not about. I actually respect you, the people I'm about to talk about, a lot. But there's no such thing as a full-time freedom fighter. I don't know what that is. If you are relying on donations or some kind of like support system because you're standing for freedom and you're trying to bring attention to this, that's what they want. You're actually digging a hole for yourself. And you're, in the end, you're actually making yourself either reliant on the system they're trying to create. In the end, you will be. Or you'll be nothing. You will be left with absolute nothingness. You will have nothing. Because, and I told this to someone recently, someone I respect a great deal, and if you're listening to this, you know who you are. I told this to someone and I said, don't forget who you're fighting for. Look at your spouse. Look at your kids. And remember, that's your fight. You going out and getting arrested, and I've been arrested in this fight. Those of you who follow me on Instagram know the videos are there. I've gotten into it with police over this fight. I'm not saying you shouldn't. Sometimes you need to stand your ground. But don't go get arrested. Don't get on lists all over the world. Don't go and create problems fighting for people's freedoms and rights that are incapable of having the necessary fortitude to not even go into a grocery store without a mask on. But they say, these same people, I'm saying, not if people want to wear them, then that's fine. You're not fighting for those people. I'm talking about these people that show up at rallies, that speak out online, like in the comment section. They actually won't put their face out there. And I'm not saying everybody should. I understand some people can't. But all they do is comment and they share posts and I'm fighting, I'm doing freedom. I go to the grocery store, I put my fucking mask on because I don't want to be confronted. So what I said to this person is, don't risk your relationship and your freedom with those people, your spouse and your kids, for all these huge percentage of people that say they're about freedom but don't have the fortitude. They don't have the character. They don't have the strength to even stand up and fight for their own freedoms in the tiniest little way. Don't do it. And I told this person that, and they told me they appreciate what they heard, and I believe them, and I hope they do. Because that person that I'm telling you that story about isn't someone that I know of that calls himself a full-time freedom fighter. I don't believe that person does call themselves that. But these other people that you're a full-time freedom fighter and you're at everything and all your time is dedicated to this and you're researching and finding all kinds of technicalities and looking up this information, and you're sharing all this stuff all over the internet and all this great stuff. That's awesome. That's great. But you're not actually helping anything. I'm sorry. You're not. You want to know what helps things? And I've beat this dead horse and I'll keep beating it till the end of time. You get independent from the system. Being jobless, relying on donations or some other system or family or whatever, it's not getting you independent from the system at all. You getting yourself independent from the system, you providing avenues for other people to get independent from the system, you developing a skill set, teaching other people that, you developing a community. How's a full-time freedom fighter that has no job, that makes no money, gonna provide a community? Everyone loves this word, community, the buzzword community. How you gonna go do that? How you gonna go buy 160 acres of land, build 10, 12, 15 residents on it, build a mess hall, a giant mess hall that can, house 60, 80 people that can eat, with a giant industrial kitchen who can food? How are you gonna do all that? Because let me tell you something, there's more to that. I'm not saying I'm doing that stuff. I'm not saying anyone should go do that stuff, but there are people doing it, and there's more freedom in those people doing that than what you're doing. I'm sorry. Again, remember, I told you, a lot of you guys I respect and I'd go out of my way for. I would help financially and other ways to help people like you. I think a lot of you are incredible people, but your efforts are misguided and misdirected. Agree with me or not, I don't care. But one day you're going to see that what I'm saying was accurate. So put away your emotions, put away your desire to, have others. Some of you have multiple different reasons, but some of you are like, other people are going to look up to me. This gives people significance. This is one of the first things in people's lives in a long, long time. If you were an athlete in high school or in your younger years, you were significant. People looked at you. If you were a musician, if you were someone of a skill set that was very good at something, you were significant. And to a lot of people who are in their mid-20s, 30s, 40s, we crave that significance. We crave it so much, because you don't get recognized in your job. You maybe don't get recognized in your marriage. You don't get recognized as a parent. You don't get recognized from your family. We're craving that win. We're craving that success. Humans were designed to want to win most times. Some of us that's been bred out of. But so when you get a taste of that significance or that attention, you eat it up. And now you're chasing that hit. I hope this is making you're chasing that high, that craving for people to look up to you, or and that's why so many people who are good people have lost their way in this. And you've seen their ego come through, and you've watched it consume them. Because I don't care how strong you are mentally, how dialed in, how grounded you are, you can lose it. Especially on social media, it's a dangerous place. So you're craving this attention, this success, whether you know it or not, this winning situation. Sorry, I gotta have a drink here. Oh. My throat's drier than ever now that I'm back from a humid climate into this dry climate. My throat dries out like nuts. Sorry, but you're craving this victory. You're misguided. You can stand up and you can fight. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Trust me, I'm very imperfect. I have a lot of flaws, a lot of problems. I do a lot of things wrong. But I like to think that I would consider myself a good example. Some of you would as well. Some of you wouldn't. That's fine. But I would consider myself a good example. I will stand up for what's right no matter what. I won't sit quietly, even if it has nothing to do with me. If I'm in somewhere, if this whole shit didn't even happen years ago, something comes up, someone's mistreating somebody in a restaurant, I'm the first, I'll stand up, walk 30 feet to get out of my way and say, listen, this ain't happening. Not while I'm here, sorry. It just isn't going to go down this way. And I got stories that could back it up, but I'm not going to tell them because no one cares. And that the whole point of it is I will always be that way. I will always stand up for what's right. I will never bend for my convictions. It's just, that's the way I am. But I'm also a believer in creating opportunity, giving people a tool. Because first off, you're not going to get the numbers you would need to say just stand against this and everyone stop complying. You're not getting them, never will. Unfortunately, not enough people will stand in that gap. I'm not being negative. I'm just telling you, humans, we've witnessed that for 2 years. What you need to do is get free from the system, inspire others to get free from the system, provide opportunity for those that want to be free from the system but are unable to do what it takes or unwilling to do what it takes. Being a full-time freedom fighter is not, you can't do it. This is the long game. You won't be able to keep up for the whole time. You can have greater impact doing other things. I hope this is making sense to you. I'm sure some of you grossly disagree with me. Some of you maybe agree with me. Some of you may just think I'm crazy, but that's okay. But I want to remind you, this is the long game. That was the whole point of this episode. Don't get stressed out. Don't get depressed or discouraged when you don't get the results that you're looking for in the next couple months or at the end of this summer. We're making progression every single day. I'm not taking away from that. I hope you understand that. I hope you don't just twist this in your brain and make it something it wasn't, because I'm pretty sure I was very clear. What we've done so far is awesome, and we have to continue doing it. But you have to use your bandwidth accordingly. So much attention goes here, and so much attention goes there. I mean, if you're a person that's at every rally and all the things, and just try this. For a couple weeks, don't go. See what happens. Like just 2 weeks. Don't post about this stuff on social media for like a week. Just try it out. Guess what? Your life will still go on. And guess what? The fight will continue with or without you. Just like it will with or without me. I'm not significant in this. Neither are you. But as a collective whole, we are significant. No individual person is significant in all this. it takes the masses. It takes a group of people standing together. So don't get discouraged. Understand. We'll win. But don't try to sprint in a marathon. That's the best analogy I can give for you guys. This is the longest marathon most of us will ever run. And some of you are trying to put it all out there in the first mile. And a marathon is much longer than a mile. But I'll leave it at that. I won't drag this out any longer. I hope this added value to you guys. I still don't have a name for this thing. I want something like along the lines of like, I love the idea of like sheepdog and shepherd dogs. Shepherd dogs, because I know there's the lions, not sheep thing. I have some of Sean Whalen's stuff. I like the idea of it. I think sheep is like such a, people interpret it as a derogatory thing and they use it in a derogatory way, and I don't think it should be. Most people are sheep. We've all been in some point in our life, and we are in some way, I think, a lot of times in certain aspects. It's not a negative thing, but shepherd dogs or sheep dogs is a breed of shepherd dog is used to fend off the wolves, right? And the wolves are the evil in society. We know who the wolves are right now. And I'm not saying everyone should feel this way. And if you're still listening to this, the episode's over. This is just me talking about a potential name. I'm not saying everybody should, sorry, I just hit the mic there. I'm not saying everybody should feel that it's their duty. I just feel it is for me, that I'm like a shepherd dog in a sense. Like, I'm designed to fight the wolves. That's just who I'm not saying I'm great because of it. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying that's who I am. And I'm not trying to wake people up. When people say, you're not going to wake these people up, you're not going to wake up the sheep. Okay, well, I don't like to call them that in a derogatory way. I might have early on, I don't remember, in some form of immaturity or frustration, but I haven't in a long time. And I don't agree with the term in a derogatory way. I think that people in general are sheep. I think animals in general, using the term, are sheep. They follow in a herd, in a flock, or whatever. And in a murder, if you're talking about crows, there's many names for these things. And essentially, they're sheep following a certain leader or a certain group of leaders. And there are people in the order that are protectors. And it just so happens to be farmers that have sheep have dogs that are designed to protect against mainly wolves, other things, coyotes, and even bears. And so I like the idea of like a shepherd dog defending the sheep, because sheep aren't bad and it's not derogatory. You know, they're just people trying to do the best they can with what they have. And there are certain people that are designed to protect those people against the wolves. And you know, what that means by protect them is you don't go over to the sheep and say, hey, you got to pay attention. These wolves are going to come eat you if you don't start looking and open your eyes and do this. What they do is they stand in front of the wolves and they say, you want them? You got to get through me. I will stand and I will fight and I will protect. That's the difference. And I love the saying of it. And I'd love to figure out a way to put that together collectively. I don't like the term shepherd dogs or sheep dogs, or sheepdog or shepherd dog. But if someone who's still listening at this point has an idea of how to make that work, reach out to me. Share it with me. I'd be interested. Really, the best way to connect with me at this point still, because I haven't made this official, is on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @Brasmy, BRASMY. First three letters of my first name, first three letters of my last name. Anyways, appreciate you all. I'm going to shut this off. Talk to you later.